Hello, everybody. It's Friday night, and it is time for the Weekender again. This week's show is absolutely brimming full with all the hobby news that's come out of Adepticon last week. We get stuck into Star Wars and take a swing at BattleTech Gothic. We're also joined by a community member this week who was at Adepticon to give us his thoughts about some of the bits and pieces that he saw. On top of that, we also have a voucher from Wayland Games for £50. If you comment below this video here on YouTube, you could be with the chance to win. Now sit back, relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben. Say hello. And Martin. Say hello.
Hello, gents. Hello, everybody.
One of our community members, because we have sickened the whole of all the other staff. Nobody wants to sit in this room with me. now I'm just having to pull in random community members, whether they want to or not.
The truth comes out.
Yeah. It's just how these things go. But no, Martin will be joining us this weekend. He is just back from the US of A and Adepticon, which we'll be talking a lot about in the XLBS on Sunday morning. So if you want a first-hand bird's eye view typey thing of what went on at Adepticon, then we've got the man with the plan, and a whole folder full of photos. Even some videos.
It'll be just like one of Lloyd's
slideshows. Exactly like that.
But way more interesting. Yes.
There's
definitely less trains. Yeah.
A lot less trains. But yeah, great to have you with us, Martin. And as you can see, he is well set up there because he also does streaming as well. So if you want to go and find him, he is the Hobby Lodge, where you buy any good Twitch streaming things. No hot tub so far, but you can have everything.
I mean, I wouldn't, who knows how desperate I may get for views. So I'll drop a link down below in the comments so we can go.
I know Tim's getting fairly desperate for the hobby hangout. He had me superimposed in a hot tub the other day. I had an amazing rack.
Of course.
Well, on with the show. We're going to kick things off with the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right then, a lot of news, obviously, from a lot of companies coming slewing out as thick as fast, courtesy of Adepticon.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with Atomic Mass Games because they went absolutely ham.
Oh my God,
Star Wars.
Yes, they did. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the fact that we thought there was maybe a new hope for Star Wars Legion. And there is no fire sale, Jerry. It is actually becoming a game that people can play once again.
Sure.
And last weekend, we got a huge amount of announcements for Star Wars. And we're going to be focusing on Legion in this particular episode here. But the first big thing was the fact that we're going to be getting the starter boxes. So a lot of people will know that they kind of revamped, rejigged, updated, tweaked the rules towards the end of last year. We got a whole bunch of PDF releases that kind of tweaked and updated everything that we'd seen previously for Star Wars Legion. Well, this is now moving into a full selection of starter sets that cross both sort of eras, I guess, of Star Wars, if you think about the movies. Well, two of them anyway, with a whole bunch of new miniatures in the very, very nice hard plastic for you to use on a tabletop. So they're going to be dropping 4 boxes, starting off with the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire. So as you will have seen when we previously looked at the plastic sets a couple of weeks ago, we're going to get the new Rebel Troopers, as you can see there, alongside those lovely Rebel Commandos and some Wookiee warriors. Everyone loves Wookiees. And
I won't try that.
No, you should.
That was too good. That was too good. Now I can't follow that up.
Just drop it in somewhere else in the episode. And also a new hero miniature in the form of a new sculpt for Luke Skywalker, as you can see there, which is very nice. For the Galactic Empire, we've got loads of stormtroopers hitting the tabletop once again with that new plastic set alongside the scout troopers. And then you'll see that there's no other unit, because Darth Vader then takes up the rest of your point allowance, dropping him into battle. But really nice looking new miniature for him as well, with his cloak flowing in the wind, which is very, very cool indeed.
Yeah.
You've also then got some stuff for the Clone Wars era as well. So the Galactic Republic set gives you a whole bunch of the clone troopers alongside the ARC troopers and the ARF troopers as well. All really nice new hard plastics. We've seen a couple of these popping up. I think there was some at Adepticon. Sarastro also got to play around with these kits as well. And he said they look really, really nice. Very, very crisp detail on these. So it'd be good to get them in our hands and have a look at them. And also, new sculpt for Obi-Wan charging forward into battle there, which is very cool. It's a bit of a shame that he's not in his clone armor like that he wears when he's being General Kenobi, but oh well, I guess. Alongside a Padawan as well.
They haven't done that yet, have they? They haven't Clone Trooper armored him up.
Someone has, but it's not Atomic Mass. But yes, nice miniatures there as well. And then capping things off, we have the Separatists, who aren't going to be forgotten, because they get themselves a brand new starter set as well, with a bunch of battle droids alongside the Droideka and the B2 battle droids as well.
Yes.
Which actually, they come in only 4 of them there, which seems like just enough for the Separatists. But the actual box set comes with like 10 of them, or like 20 or something. So if you really want to saturate the battlefield,
box.
you can add loads of them into there as well, which is quite cool. As not as you can see there, but and there's also a new miniature for General Grievous charging forward with all of his lightsabers out, which is very nice indeed as well. You'll note that I actually quite like these starter sets. I think they look really good. They give you a 600-point recon level army, apparently, from looking at the details of these. So it's a quick and easy way for you to just grab a bunch of models and just start playing the game.
I'm trying to think that the standard army used to be 900 points.
Yeah, something like that.
So I wonder if this means there's been a bit of an inflation with what you can get on the board of recon sitting at 6.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember what recon used to be.
There's also,
getting old.
Yeah, there's also a set of, as you'll notice on the side there, a bunch of components included as part of these starter sets as well. So you got all your rulers, your dice, your tokens, and everything else. And the rules.
I think this is a really nice way of doing it. I think it is, because normally when you get a 2-player starter set, one of you is probably disappointed in the bit that you got because you probably want the other one.
Very true. Yeah.
So you end up being forced down one road. And also, you also get most of the components you need for one player to have all of the dice. You end up sharing dice, sharing measures and things like that.
Yeah.
Where here, I think that they're lovely. I mean, they look lovely presentation wise, and you also get to pick the choice you wanted. So you probably pay the similar, I don't know what they cost, right, compared to like a 2-player starter set, but it's really nice that I can pick the one I want, and you could also pick the same. We can end up going the same army against each other if we wanted to. But this is a really nice way of doing it. I hope other companies kind of do this because this looks really nice.
This is the big thing for me. Exactly what you say. 2-player starter sets are normally 1.5-player starter sets. You get 2 forces, and then you get half the amount of range rulers and components that you need. At least this way. I mean, 2-player starter sets, they seem like a great idea for people starting off, but just putting everything you need for a force in a box, including all the bells and whistles, is spot on. I also quite like the fact that the rebels are less racist now.
Yes, they actually have loads of aliens.
I think aliens actually outnumber humans. I say humans, humanoid, Alderaanians or whatever they were in there.
They're all space dust now, so it's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's very harsh. Although, because that is very much Bespin look there, rocking the jacket.
I think they're doing it as a kind of. There's lots and lots of head options on the sprues, so if you wanted to,
you can mix.
You could just do all aliens if you wanted to go down that route. You know, go all Twi'leks and do that stuff from, was it the Clone Wars, where there's loads of battles on their home planet and there's like a civil war and all that kind of thing. Yeah. You could dive into all that kind of stuff.
I mean, that body with the Duros head and that Twi'lek body look to be the same, but with different weapon options and heads. But there's not a huge amount of repeating poses. There's 1, 2,
not noticeably so anyway.
3, 4, looks like 5, maybe 6 poses, which is a decent spread for multi-part plastics.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that head swap, like whilst they are the same pose, the fact that you can swap the head does it tricks the eye into thinking, oh, it's a different model, and it looks very different. So I think it's a nice way of doing it.
It's much more noticeable with aliens than just having a couple of different human faces. Man with beard, man shouting with beard. Yeah, clean shaven man shouting. It's a good one. I think that's probably my favorite, maybe because I'm old school. I just really like Luke Skywalker. He was great.
It's a cool Luke Skywalker. Yeah.
I have loads of Rebel stuff from the first version of the game, though. So if I was going to dive into this, it would probably have to be Separatists. Maybe
I only have a couple of bits of Rebel stuff. I went heavily into the Empire for the first. So I've been waiting for the Fire Seal to come. I may not have to get this instead. Time will tell.
I want to see someone be really clever with the droidicar and put an energy shield around it. A translucent, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what you do it with, but that would be so cool to see, like an actual energy
There's got to be like a Christmas bauble.
The thing is,
exactly, yeah.
They've done stuff like that for Star Wars Crisis Protocol with the likes of Cable and his energy shield.
Oh yeah,
they've done they've done translucent cast plastic pieces, so you could have that. It doesn't need to be a full ball round them. It just needs to be where the direction of the attack is hitting, and then just have it rippling. And I'm positive they've done it. I've definitely seen it on models that somebody else has customized. So they have the technology, they have the capability. Maybe they won't bother for Legion. Maybe they'll keep that for the bigger scale.
People have 3D printed or at least designed the files for entire Gungan armies and their energy shields. So the possibility exists.
But there's a golden button waiting out there for somebody to do it. Go.
Yeah. All about the bad things.
We also got a couple of extra bits and pieces revealed as well throughout the. There's loads more in the preview than we actually covered in the news article. But one of the cool things for me, I think, was the ability to have customizable commanders and operatives now. So rather than just feeling like you have to run like the standard heroes like Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Leia and all that kind of thing, which a lot of people want to do, there's also the opportunity to dive in and create your own commanders as well. So there's 4 sets effectively spread over the sort of rebellion era and also the Clone Wars era as well. And they come with the options for you to build, as you can see there, officers and agents, and then lots of different combinations available effectively within those for you to give them different weapons, different heads, and all that kind of stuff as well. This also then leads to a bunch of different upgrade cards for these characters too. So you won't be stuck with just the guy with the blaster. You could, spread things around and sort of choose different weapon options. And that means that you'll obviously then get different ways of playing your army on the tabletop as well, which I think is quite nice. I think my favorite has to be that make your own Jedi box. Oh my god!
Is it because you immediately cut his head off and put on Obi-Wan's?
Yes,
and now you've got him in his armor.
There we go.
Yeah,
sorted.
That makes a lot of sense though, because for Legion, the commanders are such a big part of the game because of the abilities they bring for your force. The upgrade, or not the upgrade cards, but the action cards. But your options generally bring Luke Skywalker or bring generic Rebel Hero 1 or generic Imperial Agent 2. And they were very bland in comparison. So if you weren't picking out somebody named, you were generally getting the sticky end of the stick. I'm just saying.
Very true. Although talking of characters, they are going to release a bunch of different character sets as well. So there's a couple they're going to be bringing out, which will effectively come with a whole bunch of new sculpts and everything for you to use in your game. So
the here's the triplets.
Yeah. I have a twin. Oh my god. So you've got some different versions of Luke Skywalker there, including one from Return of the Jedi, alongside obviously the rest of the triumvirate, as you would have found during Return of the Jedi. So you've got Leia. Quartet, I suppose, actually, yes.
You leaving out Chewie again?
I am leaving out Chewie, which is
annoying.
It's why it's not
getting a medal.
The only one that's slightly jarring is Han Solo. He looks a little bit like Solo from the movie Solo. It needs to be aged a little bit when you're doing your paint job, I think.
For some reason, they seem to struggle with Han Solo. Every time they make
Yes.
a Han Solo model, it's always the Effie one.
I remember the first one where he just had soulless black eyes,
Yeah,
just
that's-
pits in the middle of his skull.
It's very close to Harrison Ford, though. To be fair.
I've seen
Dead
his
eyes,
whiskey
like a
advert. So,
doll's
yeah.
eyes.
So you've got Heroes of the Rebellion. You've also got Heroes of the 501st. So if you want to go down the Clone Wars route, you've got some options there, including General. Well, not General, but Commander Anakin, I suppose, as well. So you can drop him into your games alongside the newly released Ahsoka Tano that we obviously saw a couple of weeks ago that they're going to be doing in plastic. So you can kick out and take some names. And it's obviously just a different way for you to get your hands on the heroes if you don't want to get the starter set and you already have a whole bunch of the stuff sitting around at home. I will point out at this point as well, obviously this is a lot of new stuff, and they did say that they're going to be bringing out a huge amount of different cards and all sorts of different things for Legion for you to buy physically. But all of the stuff that you see here will have cards that are available online from kind of like the middle of this month. So if you do want to get your hands on all the PDF stuff right away, you can do. So you're not going to get sort of blocked effectively by not being able to get access to the rules and things, which is always handy. And you'll also get it a hell of a lot earlier than people who are just waiting for the physical stuff as well, which is good. Nice new set of villains as well, the Imperial High Command. Very nice indeed.
Including the ballsiest Imperial commander in the world ever.
Yes.
In a management meeting, he calls out his evil sorcerer boss.
He does.
Telling him he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember his name canonically, but he has a couple of stories in the expanded universe, and he is just a complete badass. So yeah.
He read a book about promotion somewhere, and he was like, I've got to be aggressive in the boardroom.
How do they play in the game? I don't know the game well enough to know, because obviously they must be the roles they play as commanders. My assumption is they're really good at like buffing other characters and give, because they're not going to fight, are they? That was never thematically would be terrible if they
the
actually
high command. Yeah, it probably would be fairly terrible for those. Although Thrawn and his mate at the end there, Cockney boy, they are quite aggressive in expanded universe terms, in actual fighting terms. But whenever you play Legion, you have a set of activation cards that you start with. Everybody has the same set, and then your commander will bring some additional ones, and they both will do something for the turn when you play it, and when you play it, it's discarded. So it will work out the initiative for the turn, who's going to go first based on the highest initiative. So you can hold a high initiative card back for later, but then also whenever you play a card, it might have a specific thing that's going to happen that turn. So when you've got a real tough fighter, they may have something that's very aggressive that will buff a unit that's going into combat alongside them or near them, or you might get a commander that will take disorder tokens and stuff like that off a unit. So I'm not sure how these ones will play, but whenever you've got a non-fighter type, they'll all be able to fight to a certain amount. They may just have a very low amount of dice and just be, I'll fire a pistol, pew pew, just stay away from me.
If it's anything like Veers or Leia from the original version of the game, they'll have things like orbital bombardment and all sorts of things like that. So they'll be able to do stuff off table that then affects what's happening on the table, which is always cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah. One of my favorite miniatures from the reveals was General Grievous, who got a pretty badass vehicle. So he's rocking around on a wheel bike now, which I love.
Thank you, Steven Spielberg.
Yes. I would not want to be the clone trooper or anybody else, a Jedi, whatever, who's having to face that. So you'll be able to drop that into your games and have some fun with it, as General Grievous just tears around the back of the board, cutting everyone to pieces.
Just do nuts.
Yeah.
He's nicked a Skaven Doom wheel. That's what he's done.
Oh, now we need Obi-Wan on his lizard.
Yes. For Axel.
Yes.
Actually, that would be really cool. Yeah.
Race through that massive part of Revenge of the Sith. We also had some really nice reveals for kind of a side faction, I suppose. I mean, mercenaries, pirates. If you drop into your
Scum
games,
and Villainy.
Scum and Villainy, if you drop into your Legion forces. So the Weequay Pirates are on the way. If anyone's a fan of Clone Wars and Rebels, they'll be very familiar with Hando Anaka. with his lovely not parrot alien sidekick, which I love.
I like the one. I like the one that's carrying the ghetto blaster on his shoulder. There.
Yes,
he's banging out the tunes for the pirates.
I mean, it needs to be painted that way now.
It's a conversion begging for it, really, isn't it?
Yeah. One of them's also stolen that ice cream maker from Bespin, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it'll be really nice to see the Weequay Pirates kind of built up and added into the game. I think it's going to be really nice. They showed so much stuff off. This is coming in early 2026. So it's ages away, but they've already got all the models done for it, which I think is insane. So it means that, Atomic Mass have really, they're putting it, they're all into it, really, which I think is really good to see. So we're going to get a lot of stuff over there.
Well, they've had a lot of time where they weren't doing anything.
That is very true.
They
It's
weren't
probably all been doing this.
So it's been being done for a while.
Yeah.
Presumably it's production.
Yeah. Is
the bottleneck. So while they've got all this
hard plastic
sculpted and worked on and going for a new release of the Legion system, they've just been focusing on releasing stuff for Crisis Protocol. And in that way, they can sort of throttle back on it next year or later this year and push this out instead. Yeah.
Capping things off as well. I mean, as I said, this isn't everything, but we also had another pretty awesome vehicle in the WLO5 speeder tank. Yum, yum, yum. Drop that into any scum and villainy faction. Doesn't need to necessarily be the Weequay. You could have this going to any of the syndicates or anything in between.
There's a little pike pilot.
And basically blast everyone out of the sky, because you may have an ATST, but I have a big gun on the back of a floating tank. So, yeah. Blow it to smithereens. Loads of stuff, as I say there, for Star Wars Legion. It's not dead, Jerry. And
tell me that.
More will be coming.
Are you trying to convince me, or are you?
Myself?
I mean, I won't go into it right away, but I mean, it certainly isn't dead, because there must have been 30, 40 tables of it being played at Adepticon. So there was a half a room dedicated to both Shatterpoint and Legion. It was pretty big.
It's awesome that the player base is still there for it. That's really cool.
Yeah,
it's through that awkward transition, their teenage years, shall we say?
Yeah.
Sticking with sci-fi, this is a little bit of a look ahead at something coming up from Telesis Games. So this is a company who've been sort of working in the background on this for a while now. They actually have the amazing Bob Naismith, who a lot of people remember from his work on Space Marines.
He created the Space Marines.
Well, yes, exactly. Working alongside them. This is Lunar Wars. So it's a new sci-fi skirmish game that they've been working on, which is coming to Gamefound very, very soon, towards the end of April. Essentially what this is, you're going to be diving in and playing out the Lunar War, or the second Lunar War, with 45mm miniatures aside, which is lovely, packed with detail. And then you'll be taking on the role of either the US Astro Marines or the Russian Roskosmos Veterans. And you're kicking ass and taking names on the moon, and it's not made of cheese. There's some really nice models already shown off for this. I love the kind of the difference in design between the two. So you have that kind of sleek near future vibe going on for the US, with those really nicely designed astronaut suits and all that kind of stuff. And on the other side of it, you've got that kind of industrial sci-fi, almost alien level tech for the Russians, with lots of kind of like exposed wiring and all that kind of thing, where they've just gone for function over form, as opposed to the US stuff where they want to look nice as they die. Mechanics wise, not too many details on this one at the moment, but they have said that it's going to be quite compact, quite small games. As I say, it's a skirmish style affair, but there are going to be sort of like things like walkers. Oh, there you go. Popping up with those like amazing exoskeletons. And there's also like moon buggies and all that kind of thing as well, because of course you have to. And you're going to be diving into kind of like quick, dynamic, narratively based battles, which I think is always nice to see. Good scenario skirmishes. Alongside a set of rules that are kind of take in mind the environment that you're fighting on. So it's not just going to be, I'm fighting on a grey mat that looks like the Earth, but is actually the moon. They're actually going to bring in things like, low gravity, craters, asteroids, meteors, all that kind of thing. So you're going to have all those kind of hazards to deal with as you're playing your games on the tabletop. They've also mentioned that there's like a political element built into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of thinking that we're going to, because there's actually models for them as well, like the politicians and the commanders and stuff.
I keep reading that as Roscommon. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So it'll be really cool to see how that blends together with this, where you've got maybe some like off-table shenanigans going on, a little bit like a Song of Ice and Fire, that then sort of feed into the way that the actual skirmish game plays out. But because they mentioned also that kind of like narrative focus as well, it'd be interesting to see if there's like maybe a campaign mechanic built into that too, where you can see how things progress over the course of games. But the miniature design on this is phenomenal. And they've been really going to town on the design for it. So, yeah.
Victor the Ice Bear Ivanov. I wonder if he's any relation, or I suppose descendant, to Susan Ivanov from Babylon 5. In my head canon, she is. I know my faction now.
Oh, dear.
I am the right hand of God.
I hope they really play into the moon side, because obviously it's really easy not easy, but if it's just another, as you said, Ben, like you're on a planet, you're shooting each other, achieving objectives, like it's been done before.
It's not going to be different from playing on Earth. Yeah, unless they go.
Yeah, like I want, if they can really lean into the fact that the momentum plays part of it. You know, if you jump, you've actually got to find a way to stop yourself, or at least like I don't know what you could do
when he takes
some
off.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. With his twin jet engine, he's not landing.
Well, there is a way for you to literally fall off the moon or something. I don't know. But it sounds really cool. But I hope they really lean into that. You're playing on the moon, and therefore the mechanics would be different to you playing on a planet with gravity, etc.
I think I might be interviewing one of them, or two of them, or all of them. I'm not sure.
You have their email, so
yeah. It will be a post-salute thing, so it's not nothing's been set in stone. They've said they're interested. I've said I will. So I'll make notes, ask these questions. And see how it goes, because we're getting a broad overview here of what the game is, but not the minutiae or the mechanics.
We'll definitely come back to it when it's on Gamefound proper as well.
Yeah,
and have a look at what they're doing with it.
I do love
as
what
say,
Bob's done with the
Naismith's being
sculpts.
involved with it. Yeah.
Also, the fact they're 45 mil.
Yeah,
so they're the same size as
they're
Marvel
about the same
Crisis
size
Protocol.
A Shatterpoint and Protocol. Yeah.
How often has Superman or somebody been punching people in space? There's no reason why. There's no reason why we can't have some of the alien types from Marvel up there on the moon. I mean, the Red Skull's bound to be around there somewhere.
Probably. I'm just saying, this is also the prime territory for Transformers. You know, so yeah.
Are they 54 mil?
No,
surely they'd be huge.
I've seen, but I've seen the movies.
Oh, do you mean just taking a Transformer toy and going?
Yeah.
As long as you've got a plan.
Yeah.
It does look interesting. We will definitely be revisiting that, and like I say, hopefully if they don't ignore my emails, we'll get an interview set up as well. Don't ignore me. I need you. Oh, right. We have one more little bit of news for this segment, and we're going to stick with science fiction. This one, isn't it?
This is why John's not on this episode, because he'd go into a meltdown.
He would, as you rightly say, go into a meltdown. Catalyst Games released some information about BattleTech Gothic. I have to keep reading the tech bit to not put a fleet in there.
Andy Chambers isn't involved with this one
because years of the has always been Battlefleet Gothic. But no, Catalyst Games have decided to announce the first of their Continuum. Now, where to begin with this? The Continuum is going to be self-contained, fully compatible with BattleTech.
Yep.
So the idea is they've got 3 they're definitely doing, the first of which is Gothic, and then we'll get on to some of the others later on. But they plan on being a little starter set and then maybe a box or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how things go, they may get expanded down the line, but you're not really going to see a huge amount. You're not going to see every single mech from BattleTech converted into BattleTech Gothic. The idea is the Continuum is there multiverse. So what if humanity had come a cropper with some sort of terrible abominations that may or may not be alien/demon, who knows? Because obviously within BattleTech, it's humanity has gone to the stars and done stuff. The introductory set contains plastic miniatures, of which you can see them there. They are, by and large, the same scale as BattleTech. They're all on 1-inch hex bases, which means you could play your Continuum force against a regular BattleTech force if you wanted. A couple of things is they have made them slightly chunkier, beefier, because they've added lots of flags, stabby bits, crenellations, a Mr. T-like gold chain on the Atlas around the neck, which we can all see there. And so, yeah, the initial box will contain everything you need to play. And so if you're not currently a BattleTech player, and maybe you've been interested, you could go this way. They have also dumped a primer out. The models are all pre-built, pre-assembled, with the exception of the Atlas, who has multiple heads.
And banners.
and banners for his back as well, yes. Yep. So the primer, as you can see there, things have gone wrong. Are they parademons? Somebody called DC. But the human sphere is split into these 6 factions, these 6 empires, each one of which can be represented by the box via a different banner and head on that Atlas. But otherwise, it's just a case of painting them up whatever way you want. So you get a sort of a breakdown of what they're like, what the backstory for this particular continuum is. It'll be fascinating to see where it goes. This is apparently being run simultaneously with the current crop of BattleTech stuff. So Catalyst Games have, I'm not going to say they've been a shining beacon of how not to run a Kickstarter is probably the best way to put it. Leviathans has been massively delayed. People are still waiting on Mercenaries. And then this is coming along. Now this is going to go straight to retail. So apparently nobody who's working on core BattleTech is involved with the Continuum project. So nothing should be delayed or pushed back because of what they've done here. And you might get a Continuum box every year to 18 months or whenever they can get one out. So you're not going to see Gothic coming thick and fast and then, the next one coming out and then the next one and the next, they're not going to start ramping them in. It's just something that they thought they've been interested in doing. I think somebody came up with a what if back in 2014. It was like, why don't we do something like, make a Gothic weird alien invasion version of their hard sci-fi game. They have said that they've got 6 that they're toying with. There are 3 they're definitely doing. One is Gothic, which is going to be coming out June, July time. Might see it at Expo. There's 2 others, which we're about to see if I pause it quickly enough. Bush. So retro ray gun, your 1950s classic Flash Gordon, that sort of thing. That is the Atlas version there with his lovely glass dome, Robbie the Robot style helmet and big fins everywhere. And then here is the next one, which is going to be a anime style. That's a Mad Cat from the looks of them.
Cool.
So those are both on the cards along with, I think, Steampunk as well.
Steampunk BattleTech. Wow.
Somebody even went possibly World War II. Like I say, the only 3 that they've confirmed are those 3. I'm curious. This one has divided the community massively because obviously if people are still waiting on Kickstarters that they pledged a long time ago and then this starts arriving, they're not making a lot of friends on that. And then obviously a lot of people are going, is this just a sop to the 40k community? Because obviously the BattleTech got a big influx of people who were fed up with 40k and with GW, and it's like, here's our game that's been running for 40 years. It's been running as long as Warhammer 40,000 has, more or less, but has a very hard sci-fi. Humanity is the only thing you need to worry about in this universe. And now they're going, well, here you go, 40k fans. Here's BattleTech because it's a game you're kind of interested in, and we've just gothified everything for you. Everybody's got turrets and banners and crenellations and stuff. So
Skulls, baby.
they haven't gone quite as ham on the skulls. To be fair, the Atlas normally has a big skull head on him anyway.
That is true.
But,
yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be one. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, is the phrase, I think, at the end of the day, where once they get this out, can they actually supply it to people? Because Catalyst's supply chains across the world are poor. In fact, they've set up an EU store where it's, I think somebody was saying it was like $135
Right.
to get a $40 book. The rest of that was shipping.
Wow.
They're still shipping from the States. Just because the EU store is set up for EU customers, they still ship and tariff and tax and everything else from there. It's appalling. I think everyone is being hand delivered by somebody on a plane, which is why it's so expensive.
In a mech.
So that is a hot mess. They need a supply chain that people can actually believe in and justify before they start building sort of trust back in the community again. It's certainly interesting that they've decided to do these little what ifs. And I mean, I love the retro Raygun aspect. I like the idea that 1 box, 2 boxes, and you're done. So it's very self-contained. So for people who are toying with playing BattleTech, but look at BattleTech and go, there's so much. What mechs do you need? What mechs would be good?
It's weird that we didn't see the monster, demon, alien stuff that they talk
The
about.
abominations. Yeah.
So maybe they'll get an abomination box that'll sit alongside this one, maybe.
I think an abomination box is coming, and then they say maybe a salvage pack of some other things. They also point out, I mean, if you want to take these and use them as mercenaries or pirates in regular BattleTech,
no reason why you can't. Yeah.
What you may find is some loadouts are unique to this, so you might find weapon loadouts that aren't options for actual BattleTech mechs have been added. So you're not just getting a different skinned mech that, you know, it has a different weapon loadout. It might come with slightly different rules. The abominations for people playing along at home are this, and this in many respects,
it's like Doom.
It's more, it's more Warzone, so it's more, you know, demonic beasts with things slapped on it than you know, 40k-esque, where it's a lot of alien things kicking off. But yeah, they're not right, whatever way you look at it.
Well, we need those. A lot of people were like, "Yeah, it's cool that we got the BattleTechs, the BattleMechs." Sorry, but where are the demons?
That's not going to help you, silly Jimbo. But yeah, we will see where things go with this.
Hopefully, we'll get to talk to them at UKGE, see what they're up to. So
yeah, I imagine they'll be there with a presence again anyway. So yes, time will tell. Right. That's enough news to digest for now. I think we'll have a little look at an indie. Okay, then. Back again for an indie of the week. And this week, because I like my physical products, but I do know that people out there are very keen on this 3-dimensional printing thing.
What?
Yeah,
I hear it's taking off.
It's very much the coming thing. And this week, we're going to be looking at Dark Fantastic Mills, because they do physical stuff, which means if, like me, you go, I'm not putting 1s and 0s into a machine to bake it for me, or whatever it is they do. They're like easy bake ovens, right? Yeah.
You've nailed it, Jerry. Yep. Absolutely.
I thought so.
If you imagine it can be true. So.
Yeah. So while they do the files for home printing, they also produce the actual miniatures themselves for people like myself who just want to go and grab bits and pieces.
Already love it. So.
And they have some spanking gorgeous stuff for a whole host of games. We'll start with the new stuff. We'll go with the Jaeger Home. Could be used for something like Frostgrave. It has that rundown, rebuilt feel to it, but you know, equally the Oblivion game that Modifius make. Skyrim, that's the one. It would work quite well for that as well. So
it would.
You know, if you want to be rocking around the place looking for liches to bop upside the head, then you know this has got that. And I like this chunky aesthetic they have.
Yeah, big blocks of stone. big, huge bits of timber, all that kind of stuff. It's really cool. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose the nice thing about 3D is you don't have to worry about casting, and therefore you can be excessively over the top in detailing and frippery sometimes. But while that may look very pleasing, it can often be less than ideal for cack-handed gamers chucking around their bits and pieces. So actually having a nice, chunky, robust piece of terrain that you can pop on the tabletop and play across has a lot going for it, including, I mean, I'm not saying if you were to play the multi-award winning Moonstone, but if you were, then getting yourself a set of crab houses would not be the worst thing you could think of.
Love it.
I'm just throwing it out there. If goblins do not live in crab houses on Tauber, I'd be very surprised. I like crabs. As you can see there's some Age of Sigmar city in the middle of that as well, fighting off some sort of roger. So it gives you an idea of scale-wise. These have obviously been stepped up to sort of a 32 mil, larger and chunkier. But look at that. Look how cute that crab was before his arms and legs were removed. And he got used as a roof. Lovely and waterproof though.
It's one of the things with fantasy terrain is that you can only do a standard ruined city so many different ways.
Yes.
And so you need to do something that kind of differentiates it, your product, from other people's. And so doing weird stuff like adding crab shells to the top of things is a perfect way of doing it.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That would be really cool for. I'm trying to think of, instead of imagining that it's a massive crab that they've killed and then made a house out of. If it was for something like burrows and badgers or something, where it's mini animals and they've actually just killed a normal sized crab, or a large crab, and they made that house out of it. So they scale it downwards rather than upwards. That would be quite cool. But they're really nice actually. I like those.
But there's nothing definitively huge about that beyond the fact, it's a crab. It's just stones, some wood, and a door, so it works perfectly for burrows. Which is nice. But they're unruined stuff, the intact buildings, I think, is where it's really at. This in particular, I know these are theoretically fantastical, but that just screams Border Reavers Tower. That looks like it could come straight out of the marches. Yes, the wooden building off the side of it is a bit fantastical-esque, but I wouldn't mind that all day long as a piece of terrain that you can just chuck down, because that is a beauty, an absolute beast of a piece.
Where the Sheriff of Nottingham is holed up for a moment.
Yes.
In the game of the Barons' War, ready to be attacked. So
also, see component-wise breakdown that way as well. The Jägerholm, the fantasy stuff in here is absolutely cracking. This is the most recent range.
Just detailed enough as well, like not over the top, so you're gonna get annoyed that you have to paint it. Which is always the bugbear for me, at least when it comes to terrain. But
you two can make a castle. Everybody likes to make castles.
They do.
Where else are you going to defend yourself from? Exactly. As you can see, there is a whole host within Jägerholm itself. Even things like the Smelting Shrine, which is a touch dwarven. But yeah, the range is extensive therein for Jägerholm, but it's not alone. I suppose
just on that one there, Jerry, just to give the 3D printers out there a bit of a shout out. They do very similar to what Printable Sceneries do, where they're selling a STL like bundle, so you can get instead of buying individual bits. I think the whole pack, I'm just looking now, is like £55 for all of those STLs. So
that's
you
very
can
good.
use quite a lot of stuff. Obviously,
that's somewhat ridiculous. Yeah, strong one's quite cute.
And I think like Printable Sceneries, they do it for like a limited time. So I can see this one here is limited, and then they'll sell in individual STLs. So I'm just going to say, if you were interested in jumping on it, I would definitely do those bundles, because they are ridiculously value for money before they sell them individually.
The trench is exciting and new, including multi-part hills. Look, hills. Oh, hills.
Hills with flat levels.
It's like somebody has looked inside my dreams and given me what I wanted.
My models will no longer just tumble down the side of meadow-like hills.
But this is going to be the start of their trench section. Obviously, very heavily industrialized, perfect for something like the lunar surface of Mars filled with cosmonauts and people from Roscommon.
Mm-hmm.
So positive it says that every time I look at it. So it'll be fascinating to see where the rest of this trench section goes.
It's almost like there's a game out there that is really exciting and involves trenches. So,
yeah, but well, I mean, you can see the size of this particular trench section. When a Lieben Ross is able to rock through that door, it'll take a moon buggy perfectly in 45 mil.
Yeah.
Just
got to make sure they rotate the turret before they go in. Otherwise, it'd be like a dog trying to go through a door with us.
See their earthwork hill
Very
sectionalized
nice.
as well. You too can fill in your trench with dirt in case you need to. I actually really like these, and that's just because I'm a nerd. I just like big concrete caltrops to stop your tanks easily ingressing.
Extra cover as well, which is always helpful. So
yes, well, I mean, any game needs a bit of scatter, and at least these look like they should be on a battlefield for a reason, rather than just stacks of crates every 5 feet. Why is there another random barrel in the middle of the street? Cover. Yeah, but why would somebody have left it there and run off? You make no sense.
Can we open the Sorcerer's Tower, please, Jerry?
Oh, I mean,
and then Necrosia as well, but like the Sorcerer's Tower.
Sure.
So cool.
I'm going to get hit if I don't, aren't I?
Not just because I'm playing Conan-based stuff, and that looks like somewhere where Thulsa Doom would live.
Really?
Oh, cool. Oh my God, that's awesome.
It'd be quite cool for Lord of the Rings as well, couldn't it? That sort of tower. That would be quite...
I really like the little chunky scale guys.
They are neat, actually.
Here's a little 28 mil. They look like something from the Spectrum. It's all vectored lines.
I was trying to think of...
digressing. That is particularly vicious, yeah.
Yeah. It's very...
Saruman.
Very good for like Age of Sigmar stuff. See that in like the Realm of Chaos.
Well, I mean...
that kind of thing. Oh, look, there's a star.
Yeah.
So,
it makes a lot of sense. That's the sort of the biggest fantasy community out there, let's face it.
Idols of Torment as well. Be a good shout for it.
I've not thought of Idols of Torment in a while.
The big axe in it. Because it's like a desolate, destroyed hellscape, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that could be the remnants of some demonic, giant that has been felled by an angel at some point.
Quite like the fact that you could flip out your full tower for Rune Tower.
That's really nice.
It looks like they've been quite smart with the design as well, because it looks to me like a lot of the models, the base section is the same, and then it's a different top to make it into a different building or tower or whatever. So you could in fact have probably less bottoms versus tops, and therefore make real economy of scale with the terrain that you've got. So.
Print your base with the step, top, and bridge, and then maybe do a ruined one, and then print a full.
Exactly, yeah.
Piece,
and you're not losing way more than you need, or needing to buy more than you need, because you can just change the tops every time and make a different looking table by just changing the toppers.
Yeah,
that's quite cool.
Yeah,
you two can have a ritual brazier, both upright and toppled, which are always handy. He is cute. Can we buy him?
You probably can.
I just really want an army of them now. I don't know why.
You want an 8-bit army is what you're after.
Oh, 8-bit army would be amazing. I hear there's a Minecraft movie coming, guys.
There is, yeah. I don't think it's meant to be very good, but
that caught me unawares. Seen it advertised the other day.
It's got Jack Black in it and everything.
Yeah. This is quite funky because there's an awful lot of people, clubs and the like, doing little tournaments and leagues and stuff, and trying to source actual trophies. The amount of times where it's just like a standard generic odd shape of glass with
a football one or a tennis
engraving,
one.
You
pull the sticker off and it was last year's hot dog eating competition or something.
Yeah. So these I quite like because obviously Blood Bowl Cup in there is particularly good. The Vampire Skull Goblet, that's the Bloodweiser, the Bloodweiser Cup, if memory serves. But
Lord of the Rings one, Warhammer one, 40k one. Yeah.
These are just really cute things for gaming clubs and tournament organizers to print out, and because you can then print it and then grab your bronze, gold, or chrome spray,
and away you go.
Just blast them and then walk off, going, "Yep, my work here is done."
or if you need an ego boost at home, just print them all off, put them on the shelf behind you, and just pretend you've won loads of things. Like, oh yeah, I was a regional champion at
clear some space. Get
one on
that. But yeah, beyond that, as you can see, they've got a host of fantasy and science fiction based pieces. So if you want to do your Necromunda or your kill teams, that sort of thing, there's some ideal bits and pieces in here. The industrial sector is particularly spanking for that. Or if
they're
you're
not massively expensive either.
No, and these are obviously Martin's just told us there how cheap some of the bundles are for the STLs. Obviously, these are the fully printed ones. So, in some cases, you're going to be paying more because somebody's making the thing and shipping the thing. But it's still not particularly egregious. And they've been working away for some time, filling up a range of stuff, including shroomage for fans of goblins and, the multi-award winning Moonstone everywhere.
It always sneaks back in.
Does it though? Yeah, you're right. Right, it does. The objective rings. These are cute. And they do these for 40k as well. So, and obviously a lot of objectives have control zones, 3-inch control zones, and people are getting like neoprene mats and stuff and then having to toss those on. But being able to just go, the objective is in the middle if you're inside this ring. It gives it a much more set on feel. And they have them for the sci-fi version as well, and much more sort of industrial metal. But it's just a nice thing you can pop down without having to worry about, am I in, am I out? And then you start playing the game with measuring, and your opponent going, I don't think you are.
I was literally just looking at those because one of the things that when we were playing, we tend to use like a piece of, a little piece of plastic or dice or something, and then measure your 3 inches from it. And of course, all the professionals all play with the mats. The problem I have with the mats is they just often look ugly. Like if you've done a really like cool looking table, then you've got some logo mat in the middle of it showing where your objectives. Like it really kind of takes you away from the game a little bit. Yeah. So when I just saw these, I was thinking, oh man, these are so much cooler that you can fit them to your table. You can still get your measurement. You can still get the rule in place, but you're doing it in a way that still fits the table, where you're not sort of sticking some silly mat down with a logo on it or some completely irrelevant symbol or whatever, So these are cool.
You too can have a Sarlacc pit where you will learn a new definition of pain as you're slowly dissolved over 1,000 years. So,
and then come back to life because you're fine. So
that's good.
You survived it.
But more importantly, look at the little square man. He's got horns.
I have, while you were scrolling through, I was looking at the description. It says models supplied for illustrative purposes only. I'm like, but I want to know who they are.
They're just there. It's clearly something they've just banged out. It's like, because I imagine there's like a program like Blender or something like that where certain shapes are in there and they've just gone square shape, and then just extrude and go, there you go. That's our little model. Put them in a pose. Not going to do anything else. Square them up. Away we go. Anyway, so if you're after some diverse terrain, Dark Fantastic Mills have some absolutely cracking stuff in there. And if you are one of the home printing crowd, then you can go ahead and actually just grab the STLs and just go printer go brrr. See, I'm down with the kids.
That's the meme. So
look at me go. Right. I think it's time for some more news.
Even more news, bitches.
All right then, back for another slew of news, coming gushing at you like a massive silage pipe.
I am the Thames water, your river. Anyway, diving into some more stuff that came out of Adepticon, we had a bit of additional fantasy news from Corvus Belli for their game Warcrow. So this Wargame has been doing exceptionally well over the last little while. We've seen some absolutely gorgeous miniatures for the hegemony of Embassy and the Northern Tribes, as well as the Siennan elves.
Sure.
I think that's how you say it. We don't have Hoopu here to tell us. But in the big preview, they went through a whole host of new stuff that's coming up for the elves, as well as the hegemony of Embasig, the northern tribes, and also a little bit of a sneaky peek ahead at what's coming with the next battle pack as well, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Some absolutely gorgeous miniatures for the elves. We talked about this when we first saw them popping up. The design on them is gorgeous. Really love the posing. Lots of dynamic stuff, giving across that kind of agile edge to the elves, which is always nice to see. Lots of like leaf patterning, bark armor, and all that kind of stuff mixed in there as well, which kind of is very reminiscent of the classic wood elves of Warhammer Fantasy, which is always nice to see. And I think will probably be one of the things that draws a lot of people in. The blades as well, having that kind of leaf element to them. And then the bows having that extra kind of like what was it called? Is it
contour,
recurved style to them? I think is really nice as well. Kind of sits with that vibe.
Looks like
that miniature's gorgeous. The Warden Captain. I like to think he's wearing like an acorn helmet.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Why not? It gives me vibes of like the Predator or something.
He does a little bit, actually.
A Predator vibe.
Well, that's racist elves for you. They're like that, hiding in the trees, murdering people who are just out and about, doing their own thing.
Very much reminds me of that. Remember that really cool wood elf warlord they did, who was standing on the tree like that, and he had his greatsword down to the side. Oh my god!
Got him somewhere actually.
Yeah, I might need to buy him again. You've just reminded me that the old world exists. Anyway, as well as that, we also saw some. It is on me. We saw some cavalry options coming up, which is really interesting.
Yes.
So the hegemony of Embasig get the Black Angels, who are your kind of winged hussars, your lancers, charging into battle. We've already seen this kind of aesthetic carried through in the armor of some of the foot troops.
Yeah.
But this is showing it at like, snap the knob off, turn to 11 kind of thing. Really cranking things up. Really lovely sculpts once again for these big, hefty chargers covered in armor. I really like the poses for these, dynamic and be really fascinating to see how they work in game as well, because the play space for Warcrow isn't necessarily very big. And so having cavalry seems like a very, very intense option, but we'll have to see how it all sort of comes together on the tabletop. There's some really nice painted images of them as well, showing off how they look. Look at that. Oh.
But this is one of the best examples, because we've seen it with the elves, and you can see it on the elven renders. Things look very chunky, and perhaps not finely detailed. Everything's big, like carved with a chisel. But this shows that you have to overemphasize before you manufacture, because the actual manufacturing process will shrink that detail. And I've seen some beautiful renders in the past that were more like the actual how you would expect the miniature to finish, and you lose all of it. It becomes soapy. And this shows that even though it looks like it's been stuck on there with massive lumps, whenever you actually get to the finished article, it becomes much more subtle. The sort of detail and grooving and the like becomes much more less pronounced. I think is possibly the best.
It's a really cool scheme as well, because normally when you think of elves, you're thinking whites and blues and maybe oranges and things like that for like wings and things like that. To see it all in the black, it looks really quite cool.
Well, these ones may or may not be elves, because they're Embasig. Okay. So they're a mix of elves, humans, and dwarves.
They're sneaky empire.
So
it still looks very cool. The wing, the black and gold on the wings looks really quite cool.
Yeah. The Pan-Oceania of Warcrow. I'm play it again. We also have the mounted hetman as well. So a really nice model for that for this lady too, which is really cool to see. Lots of her kit strapped onto the back of the horse, so she's definitely off on an expedition somewhere. I like that it's a slightly different style of horse as well from the other ones. So it's kind of like been maybe bred for her, which I think is a really nice touch. With her flintlock pistol at the ready to blast somebody away. Really nice new miniature on that front too. But the Northern tribes weren't to be outdone. And going with the very World of Warcraft vibes,
yes,
we have the Warg Riders. So this is the sergeant of the unit, stalking down on the back of a rather nasty-looking beast, as you can see there. Is that Thrall? No, it's not Thrall. It's Thrall. There he is, look.
Yes.
We have the evidence.
What an interesting 3-up you've got there, Mark.
Yeah. But gorgeous new miniatures. I fear for the horses of the hegemony is all I'll say. But I love that they're they've gone that extra mile and made them like super fantastical beasts as well.
Yeah.
Super fantastic.
With the blue skin and that kind of like dark red, almost auburn style hair, fur flipping off them as well. It's a really nice little touch. But again, be really fascinating to see how cavalry fits into the skirmishes, I think. But very nice indeed.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion, he said in a high questioning voice, I have a sneaking suspicion that the option is possibly in the core rules that you could mount your officers and the like anyway, and they could become dismounted. So, you could have the base knocked out from under you. But don't hold me to that, because sometimes I conflate different rule sets. Because, in a small scale skirmish game like that, the potential to rampage around the battlefield on a mount of some kind is great. But you also have the potential then to have it shot out from under you.
You're a big target.
And then you're, what's to say, what you call a cavalryman who's lost his horse, an infantryman. So,
or even that ability to come on maybe from a different table edge or board edge, because in theory you've rode out off table and around the back or from around the side like cavalry would do. So you don't see it on table when it comes on, turn 2, but it's from behind you or something, that would be quite cool.
Outflanking maneuvers and stuff.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
There was also another miniature previewed for the Northern Tribes, which is the Remnant, which is this really badass troll-looking fellow. He's got a club for beating you up, but if that fails, he's got that massive metal fist with the blade attached to it as well. For pounding the ground. Again,
he's gone wrong.
Line. Yeah.
I feel like the club isn't needed. The size of his arms and the size of his, I think he's probably just worse if he just hit you.
Yes. Yeah, probably.
So her shield there.
Yeah.
He's currently got it as a disco biscuit strapped to him. He's just been taking munches out of it every now and again.
We know her fate. Unfortunately.
What a delicious cookie I found. Yeah. That's a shield, mate. Shut up. You have no taste buds left, Revenant.
We also got a look at a mercenary character as well. It's going to be popping up. So this is the convention version of her. So this is Verkana, who's kind of like your thief that you can throw into your games. She'll work for anyone who gives her the most coin, though. So there's obviously going to be another version for her at retail as well that you'll be able to pick up. Saw some nice concept art for her. She's very bright and vivid in color. So got like pinks and blues and oranges and all sorts of things worked into her design. But a gorgeous miniature there. A little bit of sort of Cadwallon edge. I thought was quite nice.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Hanging off her.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say a terribly placed line on where they've connected the leg to the rest of the miniature.
The butt crack.
That might need a little bit of filling, I think, when you're when you're putting this miniature together.
Be gentle with the millipat.
Yeah.
They might have put that somewhere else. That's poorly placed, I feel.
I think the designer did it on purpose. Yeah. We also closed out with a look at the next battle pack as well. So the Yaldabaoth currently do have miniatures that you can drop in based on what's available from
Warcrow Adventures. Yes.
And you can buy card packs to use them in the game. But the Song of the Dormant, which is the new battle pack coming out later this year. I think it's later this year. Might be the start of next one. Will contain effectively everything you need to start playing games with them proper. So it'll be a new set of sculpts and all sorts of different things. It'll contain the signs of Yaldabaoth, who are kind of strange, weird, demonic, infected creatures, lots of undead and all that kind of thing. Go up against the Feudum, who are your gallant knights, your warriors blessed by the lady and all that kind of thing. As Carlos said in the video, they're kind of like French people. And I was like, there we go. Fair enough. The French.
Sure.
So they're going to be riding into battle on the top of chargers with lances as well, as you've seen some of the concept art. But a great set of little miniatures, as you can see there, for use in your games. We had seen a few previews of these. I think it was last year. They kind of gave us an overview of what factions they're going to be working on, but this expands things out eventually to 5. So you'll have the Hegemony of Embasig, the Northern Tribes, the Sienan Elves, the Yaldabaoth Scions, and also the Feudum, the French as well.
Well done, you. Well, one of the heroes from Warcrow Adventures hails from here, which I think is the first miniature we'd seen with this style and aesthetic behind them. They're interesting.
Yes.
I do like how different they look to the armor of the hegemony as far as humans go. Although I think these are straight humans.
Straight humans, yeah.
No dwarves, no elves here.
The French would never allow such a thing.
Yeah.
I must annoy the French so often on these episodes.
It's all right. they don't watch these. They're not in French. They refuse. Refuse to understand.
But yes, some nice stuff there for Warcrow coming up late this year. So yeah.
It's always nice to see what they're doing, especially with Warcrow, because it's been a bit of a breath of fresh air.
It
I'm
really
looking
has.
forward to playing some more games of it now that the game proper is out. There's a few more units to play around with, because even the list building side of things is a lot of fun, because it's very easy. And at the same time, you can go, well, I might attach an officer, give a little boost to the unit, or I might just run them where they're much more vulnerable but much more potent, bottling around the tabletop as an individual character.
As Jerry would say, just burn them with fire.
Burn them. Burn them all. There's no downside to using magic all the time. I'm just saying.
Not at all.
Don't let their background or warnings. No, just get the tinge, take the stain, move on with your life. It's all a buff.
Yeah.
If everybody fears you, then that's a buff, even if your friends do. C'est la vie. All right, enough science and fantasy. Have a look at a bit of a historical.
Yeah.
And Warlord Games have announced some new epic for Black Powder. This time round, they're going to be visiting the shores of the United States, or as it was at the time, the colonies, because it is the American War of Independence.
They're revolting.
Or as John Oliver once called it, the day of unchecked colonial aggression, which I think is possibly my favorite version of the 4th of July. It is, though. It's great. So they've announced a whole host of stuff coming for both the British Army, as you can see in their heroic 10mm scale in plastics, which will allow you to field your core British forces on the continent, cavalry, infantry, and artillery, as is their wont, along with the the Continental Congress, if memory serves, so the Army of the Continental Congress.
The Americans.
The Americans, which should prove somewhat interesting when it comes to playing out the American War of Independence. I know a little bit here and there, because there's a Sarge on YouTube is big into his AWI and does a lot of gaming on it, but it's not a period I've played myself. So as you might imagine, there'll be plastic boxes coming for both a 2-player starter set and then individual army boxes that you can pick up to allow you to field your infantry, your militias, and your
the brigade bundles.
The brigade bundles. The most interesting for me is probably the allies, because then that gives you interesting bits and pieces like the Hessians. Here you can see quite a lot of militia all being readied up, and and at the front their skirmish line made up of a load of riflemen with the Virginian long rifle, which is one that often gets talked about and sometimes over-egged as far as things go. But the long rifle was particularly spiffing. George Washington wasn't a fan, because the first thing that a lot of the rifle companies used to do was shoot the British officers, which then annoyed the British, and then they would retaliate. So rather than officers doing officer things, which is, surrender, get captured, get parlayed back, and then sent home, they just got shot in the head. So, we're not at home to that. We don't mind you dying, oiks. But when you start killing us, that's not how the game's played.
I can't see Mel Gibson's character from Patriot, because that's historically accurate, isn't it?
It is very historically accurate.
Yeah, so,
he's second in from the left.
Okay, so he's got his tomahawks, because I know he was a big fan.
He'll be in there somewhere, rocking around the place. There's the Hessian contingent as well. So you've got your family members coming from parts of continental Europe to support, which is always handy. I imagine we'll see some French at some point as well to reinforce the Congressional Army. There was definitely French Hussars in the American War of Independence. I know that. I know they weren't as massively keen on firing a load of people in, having just been slapped down in the French Indian Wars. And that was the start of the whole downfall of France into the sort of Republic. But interesting plastics. There'll also be a set of commanders. I imagine this will not be all of them because this is very heavily weighted towards British at the moment.
Yeah, there's probably going to be another set or two.
But notables in here, Tarleton, obviously the man famous for inventing the hat. I'm not joking. There is, when you hit Napoleonic warfare, there's certain units would wear a Tarleton hat. It's named after him.
Oh, there you go.
Baron von Riedisel. He was the, I was going to say German, but technically they weren't German. The Hanoverians were the British ruling house, and they went, we need some help here. So they went to the Brunswickers, who were cousins, and they sent 5,000 odd Germans, which is why you got those over. William Howe, or Ho, he was the British commander for the actual war. But my favourites are down the bottom. We'll ignore Cornwallis because I don't know anything about him. I will not be watching what you type in the comments below either, people. But Daniel Morgan, so he was one of those riflemen. He was asked to, when Boston was being sieged, it was like, you need to form a company, 60 odd men or whatever. He managed to wrangle together like 96, didn't wait for the second company to be assembled, just marched his men straight to Boston and then started picking off officers as quickly as they could. Because there's the Frontier long rifle. It was slower firing than a musket, but it had like 3, 4, 5 times the range of a musket, which is why they would just sit far, far away. He was also part of the Saratoga campaign in the north, which Major General Horatio Gates was also there, and he'd fought for the British, but he was like low status, like the bastard son of a chambermaid and a lord or whatever. So he was sort of what they say, not gazetted. He had a rank bought for him in the British Army, fought the French Indian Wars, went back home and discovered he couldn't get any higher because too low-born. So went back to America, ended up joining the Americans when the Continental Army was formed.
Opportunity.
He was the first man to accept the surrender of a British army anywhere in the world at any time.
Wow.
So the first time the British surrendered was because he had gone north with Daniel Morgan and friends and Benedict Arnold. Between him and Benedict, he's very conservative apparently, and Benedict Arnold was very super aggressive. I imagine we'll get a Benedict if he's not already in the set.
Yeah.
So they worked well together as a pair. But yeah,
nice.
Interesting to see that they're going that way for American War of Independence. There hasn't been a tagline name with this that I've seen. So obviously when we got Black
Revolution
Powder, but it's not tied to a battle. So we haven't seen like Waterloo, where it was very specific. It's just this. So potentially this has more. Obviously there's less potential for multiple armies, but you've got French and German allies kicking around for various nations in there as well. So it's a little more restricted in what can go in, but it should be more expansive than Waterloo in that it covers a bigger amount of battles and time period, up and ground scale, I suppose, as well, because you can get up into Canada and do all sorts of stuff up there.
Could do.
During the raids. So yeah, fascinating. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
There is a typo in the article. If people find it, they will win an internet cookie. I'll not say what it is.
God damn it! Now I have to go look. Well, I've got to leave it now.
Yeah. Will you find it before Ben finds it and fixes it? Because I'm not going to tell Ben what it is either.
God damn it!
Right. We have a final bit of news, and it's the comic book version of Star Wars Crisis Protocol.
Yep.
As I believe the kids call it.
So we started with Atomic Mass Games. We'll end with Atomic Mass Games, but from a different angle entirely. So Marvel Crisis Protocol It's getting a huge amount of new releases and also re-releases coming out throughout 2025 and into 2026. We start off similarly to with Star Wars with the new starter packs. So these have been designed to sit alongside the Earth's Mightiest Core set, which is the one that is currently available, with all the updated and modern rules for the game. But these give you different angles into playing Marvel Crisis Protocol rather than going with the characters that you see in those sets. So if you don't want the likes of Cap and Iron Man and Spider-Man and all that kind of thing, you can instead dive in and get these. The one that is going to sell out constantly is the X-Men one, because I still can't get the X-Men for love nor money. Obviously, they could all work together if you wanted to. That is how Marvel Crisis Protocol works.
Yes.
And by extension, how the X-Men worked. They all worked together at some point. Or you could split those up into two different teams if you wanted to, and have Xavier's chosen against Magneto's if you want to go down that route, which would be really cool to see. The other set is the Spider Foes. This gives you all of those characters that you could throw up against Spider-Man and the rest of his friends, the Web Warriors. It's the Sinister Six Plus, effectively, from that set, which is really nice to see, with a mixture of the older sculpts in there alongside some of the newer ones as well. I will say,
me and the guys meme with what's in the Spider Foes.
Yeah. I will say that some of these will be the older plastics as opposed to the newer ones, and they are slightly fiddlier to put together. But in general, a lot of the stuff that Atomic Mass has been doing recently has been actually pretty good. So you're in for some really nice kits in there. I will say it took me about 50 minutes to work out how Lizard actually stuck to his water coming out of that drain there. Yeah, but eventually I did it after much swearing. Everyone else in that kit went together perfectly well.
Sounds not dissimilar to my experience with Storm.
Yes. Yeah.
The three contact points are hidden as to where they're supposed to go. I just found three places where it met up and then chucked enough plastic cement on it that it wasn't going to go away.
I will
say,
like
a head bobbler. You can just flicker and she'll bing, 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 bing.
That's exactly how they intended it to be. I will say what I quite liked about the Spider Foe set is that they left out Doc Ock from that. So if you did buy Earth's Mightiest Core set and then bought the Spider Foes box, you wouldn't be doubling up on a Doc Ock, which I think is a nice little touch from their point of view. But the X-Men one, I am getting the hell out of that. I am snaffling it up as soon as it's available. Oh my god, I need it in my life. It's the only thing I need now for Marvel Crisis Protocol to complete my dream collection.
Yes.
I've got all my Web Warriors and all that kind of thing, but X-Men, I will get.
I hadn't realised they'd done Rogue and Gambit.
Yeah.
Because the original release of the X-Men was everything in that box except for Rogue and Gambit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, they came out later on down the line, but a really nice pairing as well, of course, especially if you've read the comics or watched the 90s TV show. That's going to be the earworm for the rest of the day.
Yes.
We also have a whole bunch of extra stuff. So talking of Spider-Men, Web Warriors, we got a whole bunch of additional stuff popping up for them. We got a set that will include Silk, Spider Noir, and Spider Ham. So if you like the Spider-Verse movies, then you'll be able to drop them into your games. Put on your best Nicolas Cage impression when playing as Spider Noir, of course, as well. Spider Noir.
He's getting a movie.
He's getting a TV show.
Was it a TV show?
Yeah, I think a spin-off TV show. Although that might not happen now that it's gone to Marvel properly. I'm not sure. Silk might be an interesting nod to what is going to be coming up. Maybe she'll pop up properly in the next Spider-Verse movie, because obviously the two characters from the Spider-Verse, so there might be a nice crossover for us to see there. But a nice little collection all the same. The second of the Spider-Man boxes contains a whole host of additional characters as well that will be very familiar. So you've got Spider-Man 2099, so you've got Miguel O'Hara in there alongside Prowler, and I love that pose for him.
That's cool.
It's so cool. And then the one that will probably be a pain to glue is Ultimate Spider-Man as well. So you've got another Miles Morales option for you to drop into your games to hit people with your Venom Punch, which I always thought was a weird thing to name his power, considering there is also a character called Venom, but there we go. There we go, all the same. Really nice little set, once again, lots of dynamism in there, and it'll be the new plastics, so it won't be as much of a pain in the ass to put together, I would hope. There we go. Beyond that, loads of really fun cosmic stuff and beyond. A lot of these things we had seen towards the end of last year, so we finally got some actual painted images of both Phoenix and Phoenix Unleashed for you to drop into your games, so this will be allowing you to drop in Phoenix, as you can see at the bottom there, as part of your teams, although there's also the Phoenix Unleashed version, which would kind of be like a boss version, like we've seen with like Thanos and things. To be able to use her in games.
That makes sense, because it should just be everybody attempting to make her
try and
sleep.
Stop her.
Please.
Jean Grey, remember who you are.
As she just obliterates you. And
Nice moon you have here. Be shame if somebody exploded it.
That's a very cool boss miniature, though. That is extremely good.
I love
because
the
it's a big
Phoenix design in the background with the head.
That's also true, yeah.
Very cool.
Maybe that's how it should be painted.
Yes.
She has to, I'm just going to rename the card "I'm Reborn. Walk on."
We also have a couple of additional sets as well. So these some of the ones we have seen previously. So we've got a set that contains Avalanche, Exodus, and Lady Mastermind in there as well. So, Atomic Mass Games, once again, delving into the deep lore and all the different characters that have been designed over the years for use in your Marvel games. If you want to take things in a different route. I will say Lady Mastermind's little Jaguar there is probably way better than the one that we saw in the Elektra movie coming out of another character. Actually, let's just forget the Elektra movie exists. That's probably a better way of thinking about it. God. There's also a set with Blue Marvel and Spectrum. I really like the sculpt for Blue Marvel. I think that's so cool with the power around the fists and that kind of negative space thing that they've done there, and then all the energy sort of surging up around them. You get the same thing with Spectrum as well there, which I think is quite nice, but slightly more grounded look. But you get the sense of like power with her as well, where she's like smashed the earth around her and she's about to like take off or something as well, which I think is really cool. Or maybe she just landed. Either way.
Which is not
she's not got the knee
pose.
out and the fist in the ground, so it's not a superhero pose.
She hasn't landed.
Yeah.
Take it off again.
There's also a few street level heroes coming as well, so it's not all just going to be cosmic adventures. There's a set that will contain Echo, who some people might know through the Disney Plus show as well, obviously popped up in that, alongside Ronin, which is the Clint Barton version of him. There is a head that comes with not the hairstyle from Endgame.
Yeah, good.
But he'll be able to kick ass and take names with his katanas. And then you've also got Tigre in there as well. So if you're looking to do kind of street level heroes, you've got those options. Throw them in alongside the likes of Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Daredevil and that kind of thing.
The Punisher. Just the Punisher and Ronin walking through the middle of
we
town,
really
shooting everybody in the face.
We really need a new Punisher miniature, because the only one that exists for him currently, I think, is the original one, which is really derpy, especially composed to some of the new stuff. I can't
reach it. It's too far away.
Oh, no, they did do a new version of it.
It's just standing like
in
that.
Earth Mighty's core set, so they did do a better version. Yeah.
They keep saying better version. There's nothing wrong with the original one. Just standing there. Go and bring it. You're going to get shot in the face.
Yeah.
He's a very simple man.
Yeah. I will say, best version of Punisher, probably Balin Skull.
Balin Skull.
Put it out there. Yeah.
It was closest to the comic book.
It was, yes. If you've not seen Punisher Warzone, it's on Netflix right now, and it's freaking awesome. Go and watch it.
It's amazing, yeah.
There's also going to be a bunch of affiliation packs. So these are ways for you to pick up a whole bunch of miniatures that all have a similar tag, effectively, for you to drop into your games, and they partner up very well. So you got the Criminal Syndicate, which brings together a variety of sort of disparate villains for you to use in your games. So you got the likes of Kingpin in there as well, getting Bullseye and all sorts in there, and MODOK. Because why not? Warriors of Asgard set, really nice. Could sit that in alongside the rest of the Asgardians that they've already done. So if you do have access to Thor and Valkyrie and the rest of them, Hela and Loki, you could use that as a really nice bonus pack to
Balin Skull's in there.
That. He is actually as well, yes. And then last but not least, for this set as well, there's also the Defenders pack. So again, if you wanted to tie this in alongside what we've already seen, you've got the Defenders set there, which comes with the miniatures for Daredevil. My God, that is going to be impossible to glue that together. Alongside Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And Doctor Strange, which is really nice.
It's not that bad.
Really? Really? Just don't knock him over. And then there's also a second set of... Okay, so it's not too bad then.
Yeah,
I was really waiting for it to break on camera.
It's just live.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. We're all fine here.
There's also a second set of affiliation packs. Two of them could be easily added to the starter set to give you all the X-Men you could pretty much ever want. So there's a set for the X-Force and also one for Xavier students as well. So you get Magic. You get
Colossus.
I forgot his name. Colossus. I was going to say Apocalypse.
Night
It's not Apocalypse. You got Cable in there as well.
There you go, there's Cable. There's Cable with his little shield blocking
Yeah, there
thing.
you go.
See, like a droidica.
There's Domino, X-23, all the rest of them in there as well.
Bishop was always a cool character.
Bishop. God, I love
Yeah.
Bishop. Yeah.
Lurking there. When's this? Quarter 4?
Quarter 4. So you got to wait a little
So-
while, unfortunately.
So possibly
You
this
can-
time next year.
You can get a lot of these miniatures in sets of, they're probably the 2 miniature sets
Yeah.
at the moment, but this will obviously be a collection that gives you a lot of options. And obviously the updated cards for them as well, if you don't want to get them online. And then the web swinging heroes as well. We'll finish things off. So you've got Black Cat,
Spider-Woman.
Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, but it's the variant of him if you've already got it from the starter set. And Agent Venom, I think it is. Although I can't remember. Or is it it's one of the, I think it's Agent Venom because it's the one with the guns
Yeah.
when he takes over. So you've got those options in there for that pack, which is quite nice. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I probably am. There we go. So
Most exciting out of all of them is obviously the ability to put Spider-Ham and Deadpool or
Yeah.
Skull People to his friends on the same board at the same
Yes.
time and just
Uh-huh.
make a complete mockery of the serious comic book action that's going on around them.
yeah, easily. And you can have Bob alongside them as well.
And
Just
Bob,
hanging
Agent
hanging
Hydra,
around.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, just all three of them, just
Yeah.
bumbling around, breaking the fourth wall and annoying your opponent.
We can't be too far away from Jeff the Land Shark as well from
you
the
got it,
Marvel
yeah.
video game. There's going to be
Considering how big Rivals is at the moment, yeah.
exactly. It can't be far away, can it?
No. Will he have the swallow ability? Will he just pull everyone in and then spit them off the map? That'll be the-
We can but hope.
Oh, the other thing I was thinking, like, we saw all of those previews. No Fantastic Four, even with the movie coming up. Maybe it's going to be a sneaky reveal later in the year, but
Well, I imagine because they've not done the Fantastic Four yet.
they've never popped up before. No?
So with the film coming, it may be worthwhile just holding their wish, doing the movie version first. And then
Yeah,
if people hate the movie, they can do the comic book ones after.
yeah, and a bit. Oh my god, a big Galactus as well. That'd be cool. Oh,
Would they just make a head?
just a head that
Just a
floats.
head?
No. They could just make a big mist. They can make a mist like they did in
Or just big
Fantastic.
feet, just
Or big
feet, and you can't see. You can't see. You just can't see the rest
Prepare
of
my, prepare my boots on the table. Why are they? That's Tyrion. No, it's not Tyrion. It's Galactus.
That would be
Don't look
amazing.
up.
Like the Puts of Gork.
Right. I think that's
Oh,
enough
dear.
nonsense for the news.
Mm.
We'll have a little swish. And when we come back, we'll be checking out a couple of Kickstarters.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Okay, then our first Kickstarter is from Crooked Dice,
It is.
a fantastic company full of
They are amazing.
fun and games, whims and whimsy, retro nonsense that I love,
Yeah.
and so much more.
I
It's-
will be buying all of their Sinbad stuff at Salute. Oh, so good.
When you see them at Salute, you pretty much want to buy the entire booth.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare because you see one thing, you look to the left and you go, "Oh, can't believe they've got that." Then you look up and go, "I can't believe they've got this." You just go through.
My childhood is in front of me in 20th mil metal.
Yeah,
Thank you, childhood.
So this campaign is for Night Terrors, which is a smaller campaign from them, although it's running for, as you can see there, about sort of 17 days by the time you're watching this. It's a new feature pack that has been designed, once again, alongside the creative writing students at Edge Hill University. It's another collaboration that they've been doing.
Okay.
They did the Amazing Fantasy 1 and Colony 87 and all sorts of things, which has been really cool. And this is where you'll be taking control of either the heroes or the villains in a small town called Pilgrim's Bluff, where some weird goings-on have been happening, and a strange set of villainous individuals have been doing experiments and bringing all sorts of strange things to life, be they aliens or horror characters from your nightmares. They've all been popping up throughout the town, and as part of this mini campaign that takes part over the course of 5 episodes that are all linked together, you will dive in and try and stop the terror that is affecting the town. When it comes to the options for diving into this, you've got a couple of different things you can go with. So if you already have a bunch of miniatures you want to use, you can just get the feature pack, which just comes with the rules and the cards, and away you go. But if you want to dive in and get your hands on some miniatures,
Basket case.
yeah, They have some really nice ones. So there's a hero and a villain set. If you look at that one just above there, Jerry, there. So the heroes in the box are essentially the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
For you to drag back to the tabletop and have some fun with. But they also have what I think is a really nice little addition. They're kind of like hero fantasy versions of themselves for when they clearly do their role-playing games during the Breakfast Club.
They all got together and decided to start LARPing.
Yeah, exactly. So you can drop them into your games and have some fun there. I love there's like a little He-Man nod in there as well, which is quite a nice little touch, as well as a sort of hark back to the old D&D cartoons as well, which is good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is just screaming off the deep end as D&D. The only thing I would say is potentially should Judd Nelson not be playing the Paladin? Remember the cocky, sarcastic, loudmouth braggart who was also a bit of a coward?
Yeah.
Just throw it out there. You've missed with that one, lads.
And there's also a nice section of villainous creatures, and they are monsters and all sorts of other things drawn from movies of your childhood, as well as some more modern stuff as well.
Yep.
So if you're into things like Stranger Things, you'll find some options there as well. They've also worked with a bunch of companies to do a set of thematic terrain as well. So there's a bunch of stuff from like Sarissa and I think it's actually mostly also all Sarissa stuff to build up a fun kind of town from the 80s, 90s for you to play your games out on the tabletop, which I think is a really nice touch, as well as some digital offerings there as well. As you can see.
Clock tower from Back to the Future there.
Yes. Yeah. So they're hitting all the they're hitting all the buttons. They're hitting all the buttons. And as I say, these are broken down into different pledge options. So you can just get the feature pack. You can get the heroes one, which comes with all the new miniatures, as you can see there. As well as the villains as well. Some of the villains you might have seen in 3D as like STL files, but I think a lot of them are sort of updated ones, like especially the agents and stuff. As part of that set.
Mulder and Scully.
Yeah. Who have turned bad in this universe. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I mean, it was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you can't beat the Cancer Man, you've got to join him.
That's right, yeah. And then there's also a bunch of additional pledge options that allow you to kind of like bundle everything together. So you can get all the miniatures, you can get the miniatures, the terrain, and the books, and pretty much every variation of that as well, as you see fit, with lots of different ways for you to dive in and have some fun. So if you've not played Crooked Dice's 7TV before, this is a good opportunity for you to give it a go. A very self-contained feature pack with a bunch of different scenarios. You just need the core rules, essentially, beyond that. And away you go. Oh, yeah, there are also some Transformers in there as well. Because why not, right? So, yeah.
There's somebody playing a guitar. Would he be doing that on top of a diner? Who knows?
Possibly. Yeah, if all comes good. But yeah, a really nice little set there from Crooked Dice. They tend to drop these Kickstarters every so often, funding these smaller feature packs with a particular theme to them. And then obviously you can take it from there and do whatever you want, because as we've talked about in the past, Crooked Dice's 7TV is one of those games where you can literally do anything. If you want to play fantasy, sci-fi, historical, anything you can think of that was ever been a TV show or a movie or a book, you can probably play it out on the tabletop using 7TV, which is great. So yeah, dive in and have some fun.
They've got a basket case miniature.
And they have a basket case. Jerry's just going to buy that one miniature.
Oh my God. If people haven't watched Basket Case, it's a fantastic family film. You should all sit down, especially if you've got young children. They'll really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
17 days left, already funded.
Yep.
And I'm plowing through stretch goals as well, which is great to see. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer for the miniatures in and of themselves. And if you need an excuse to play anything against anything ever, 7TV is that excuse.
Very much so.
It's really, it's the Blazing Saddles ending. You know, your actors kick off and start spilling into other sets around the place, and at that point, you can start punching Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, or kicking a Cylon. Find out whether or not the Wolfman has nards. All of these things are possible with 7TV.
Very much so. Very much so.
Right. Our other crowdfunder is actually not a Kickstarter,
but a Gamefound.
But a Gamefound, yeah.
Which is where it seems to be, you seem to be able to go and actually find games nowadays. Yes. And not that I lament Kickstarter at any point. There we go. So this is from the folks at Monolith. They picked up the rights to continue working on Reichbusters, and they have brought it back to the table with a brand new version called Reichbusters Reloaded. If you've not seen Reichbusters in the past, we played it on the channel, had some good fun with it. It was really, really good. You take on the role of the Reichbusters, who are a mixture of heroes made up from the various nations of the Allied contingent, who are sent to kick ass and take names, killing the members of the Third Reich and sending those Nazi zombies to hell. It's very Wolfenstein, as you can see.
Really? You surprised me, sir.
And absolutely loaded with all the pulpy goodness that you could expect from
stuffed to the brim with handfuls of Guatemalan insanity peppers, as I believe the phrase.
The basis of the game, as I say, 1 to 4 players, dive in. You'll play through a series of 3 campaigns made up of 20 missions. They can all be played as one-offs, although you could also link them together if you liked as well. It'll start off sneaky, where you'll be, it can start off sneaky, where you're sort of working your way through the base, picking off individual guards before things go badly, or you could just start firing from the off. You could fire all your rocket launchers, throw all your grenades, and just start
grenades, Warren,
right away.
All of them immediately, Warren.
It's how I play every stealth video game ever made. You start off with the best intentions of, I'm going to be the most sneakiest person. Well, no, it's all gone wrong. I'm just going to open fire on everything.
And kill everything. Kill everything with fire.
They can't report or raise the alarm if they're all dead.
Yeah.
It's a type of stealth.
He can't use the button if there's a knife in his hand. So this version of the game, Reloaded, plays around with the mechanics from the original in a few different ways. So the core mechanics are pretty much the same, although what they've done is they've gone in and kind of taken a little bit of the randomness out of things to kind of make it feel a little bit more tactical. So when you used to do actions in the game, be it just walking through corridors and things, you'd have to roll noise dice to see what happened. But instead what they've done is they've added in a sort of fixed noise system now. So doing a lot of the basic actions of the game, like moving, opening doors, all that kind of thing, doesn't generate noise. But then when you fire weapons or you use a sniper rifle or throw a grenade or whatever, it'll have a noise value associated with the weapon that will then get added to a tracker that goes up. The enemy then has kind of like a discretion meter, which is shown by a searchlight that comes down slowly throughout the course of the game. So the noise you create can be contained by your actions. So if you don't have a Warren, you could probably get through the game without raising the alarm. But if you do end up, everything goes to hell, chaos breaks out, things will sort of match up, and then the enemy will act differently, all that kind of thing. They've retweaked the way you build your teams as well now, so there's loads more choices you can see there. Team Rocket blasting off again. But you get to choose a team leader, a rocket member, a tactics member, and all that kind of thing, and you build them together to build your squad. I think it's a really nice little touch there. They've also made it that you don't have to use so many of the cards to do all your actions. Every character gets 2 basic actions that are universal to everybody this time around. So you're not kind of like stuck with whatever your cards will give you. And then you can just play as many cards as you like after the fact. But essentially, you see that top line on the stat card there. That's the thing that everybody can do. And you can always do 2 of those things. And then from there, you can use your cards to do bonus things as you see fit. There's also the Vril, which is the kind of weird MacGuffin in this universe that every weird World War universe has. That can be used to boost your weapons, but that obviously has a kickback as well. So if you use the Vril to power your weapons, it might hit back and do damage to you at the same time. So it's kind of like a risk-reward thing, which I think is a nice little touch. They've also taken out a huge amount of the keywords and references on cards, so you don't have to keep flicking back into the rulebook to try and find out what something does. And if anything has an ability, and it needs describing, it's baked into the card or your player dashboard. So you don't have to keep referencing things when you're playing the game, which I think is a really nice touch. So they've essentially taken what Reichbusters was and effectively refined it. And if you've played any of the Monolith board games in the past, like Conan and the Batman game and all that kind of thing, they've really taken their new editions of the game and done like a really nice job of kind of like tightening the screws on it so it feels like it plays a lot better. There are also options in here for people who already have Reichbusters. So if you have the core game, you can just buy the upgrade packs rather than having to buy everything again new. Okay.
That's good.
But if you do want to dive in and get absolutely everything, including all the models and everything, you've
Yeah,
got the option
I'm
to
glad
see.
they've done that
So,
because I have the original
there you
Kickstarter,
go.
which is several boxes. It's like
Yes.
about 7 boxes of game. So to be able to go, thanks, I can just get the updated bit and still use all of my stuff is great because it is a really fun game. So I'm glad they've done that.
Yeah. Is this made you think about maybe revisiting it, playing it a few more times, kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Has it made you think about opening it?
Oh,
No, we played through like the first campaign and one of the add-ons, and we genuinely really enjoyed it. I think the boys liked the fact that yes, you could sneak, and you start with best intentions. Let's sneak in, let's take out that guard, let's do noise checks, all that sort of stuff. And then once it all goes, especially when you've got the guy with like the 2 machine guns and stuff like that, it's just like he doesn't get to do anything because he kind of gets a bit bored. And you're like, okay, well, let's just go then. We've got to get out now. So, I think we really enjoyed it, but we kind of played through and then ran out of steam for all the expansions, which is always the Kickstarter problem, right? They always come with so much.
And come at once as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I will definitely look at that sort of upgrade pack as like if they have refined it, then it's definitely probably worth checking out because I've got it all, so I might as well, go
Well, the
back
main
and
components aren't changing, so the sculpts are remaining the same and the boards are remaining the same. It's the ancillary part and the game mechanics. There's a list there of what has changed.
Yep.
So it's not a massive amount, but it's enough to make it a smoother process to play, I suppose. And also, team forming and all the rest is handy. The number of tokens and keywords has been reduced.
Yes.
25% keywords, tokens by 66%.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless you. Because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's a small asteroid belt of tokens following miniatures. it just gets too much and too annoying, and eventually you get fed up with them.
It does.
Yeah.
So
I mean, ultimately, it's nice to see a company
they are
back
adding
a
some new stuff as well.
Kickstarter, like actually don't just release it because let's face it, a lot of games come out on Kickstarter, they live and breathe for 2 months and then they disappear off the face of the planet. So it's great to see that someone's going back, revisiting, refining, and then saying this game actually still is good.
Well, this is it. With Monolith having picked up the license when Mythic went, this has been out of print pretty much since that Kickstarter. If you have been unable to get it, even if you wanted it, it never really went near retail. So there are new things coming as well, 20 new scenarios and some snow tiles and train tiles and stuff as well. So
3D towers and all
there
sorts
is stuff that are being added to it. The best news is that they are revisiting it. It's getting a bit of a dust off, a revamp, and hopefully then should be available for actual people to pick up beyond the Gamefound itself.
A lot of the stuff from Monolith in their newer campaigns does end up on their web store eventually.
Yeah.
They always end up with retail friendly options as well in there. So plenty of ways for you to get stuck in. Have some fun. Yeah.
Yes. 12 days left on it. Also massively funded. So if you're an old hat or if you just want to get into some weird World War II and go absolutely ham with whatever they were, possibly Twin Bren. I've no idea what he was firing. It looked weird. But yeah, why not give that a look as well? Right, that wraps us up for this week. We shall return over at OnTableTop.com on Sunday with Martin to talk about Adepticon and get into a bit about what's going on there, how that was, and a chat about other people's hobby as well. You can join us over there for a 30-day trial if you're not already a cultist. And if you are, we'll see you on Sunday. Back. Salute next week. So we're back for Salute next week. There may or may not be a weekender. Time will tell. If not, we'll see you on Saturday.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.